This is unacceptable. I've tried to stay out of this for as long as I could, but due to Channel Awesome's recent little PR stunt, I feel like I have to throw my hat into the mountain of hats that used to be a ring. What they've just done just killed them. This is the knife in their back. They just killed themselves. Metaphorically, of course. First, my history of Channel Awesome. I found Nostalgia Critic in late 2010 or early 2011, and I instantly fell in love with the series. The first one I saw was one of his older ones, the Tom and Jerry movie, but I just was laughing so hard. I couldn't stop, and I just loved it. It got to the point where Alfonso and I could quote whole episodes in their entirety. Episodes like the commercial specials, the Inspector Gadget review, the Thief and the Cobbler. In fact, a lot of the things that he talked about are things that I ended up checking out for myself. I never would have gotten into the Thief and the Cobbler or Don Bluth, and I wouldn't have gotten as into Animaniacs if it wasn't for the Nostalgia Critic. So he shaped a lot of the way I look at a lot of entertainment. And when he retired his character, maybe it's because I didn't have as much of a connection, or at least a long-lasting one as everyone else, but I thought, okay, well, we still have the old stuff, and we got a lot to choose from. Most great reviews, one bad one here and there, but who doesn't have one? So, what do you got next? And then I heard of Demo Reel. I thought it was kind of interesting. And then I checked it out, and it was awful. It really was. I don't know what happened here, but this seemed like the biggest step backwards that Channel Awesome or that guy with the glasses at the time could have taken. And then Pop Quiz Hotshot came out, and ugh. And I was one of the few who actually wasn't excited to see him get revived, because I knew about a lot of those shows that get revived after they're ended, like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Family Guy, how they all just end up getting worse whenever that happens, and that's what ended up happening with the Nostalgia Critic. In my eyes, at least, it took him a while to find his stride again. The first few reviews of Pearl Harbor and Timothy Green were very mediocre and had basically nothing worth remembering, and that Catwoman review was horrible, although he himself has said that the review was very much overshadowed by the skits. I didn't think they started getting good again until Bridge to Terabithia, and I still stand by my opinion that that is one of his top 10 best reviews. And that Disney Afternoon one, that one was great. However, as the years went on after the revival, the hits became way, way fewer than the misses, to the point where I just stopped watching some of his new uploads. The last one I actually watched was breaking a long-standing absence from watching his videos, and that was Batman Forever. And it seemed awesome because I wanted him to do this ever since the original era. And he was partnering with someone from CinemaSins, so how was it? It was boring. I almost fell asleep during it. And no, I wasn't watching it at night. And it was at that point when I felt like, okay, I should stop watching. But then I saw something. The Not So Awesome document. I was in denial for the longest time, even after I read that document. I went out of my way to do every little bit of research I could, but eventually I just couldn't be in denial anymore. I knew Channel Awesome was guilty of all these things. What's the Not So Awesome document? Let me tell you. All the ex-Channel Awesome contributors have compiled a 69 and growing page document about all the grievances they have with Channel Awesome. Some of them are petty, like Lindsay Ellis's arguments. Those are kind of flimsy, but some of them are really severe and they're not good. For example, Dr. Gonzo, who was one of the lesser-known contributors on the site, kept asking the CEO of Channel Awesome, Mike Machad, how are my numbers doing? How are my views? How can I improve this? And then Mike Machad would either not answer him or respond with something like, why do you want to know? Your numbers suck anyways. No one comes here to watch you. Nobody likes you. And then when Jew Wario Justin Carmichael passed away, he wanted to make an online wake to commemorate his loss. But Mike Machad said, don't worry about it. Nobody cares about you, so no one's going to care what you're going to have to say. We're going to have someone big like Doug or Linkara do something. Then there's forcing Linkara and Lindsay Ellis to do that uncomfortable rape scene and to boldly flee. There was Iron Liz getting her knee bashed in during Suburban Nights. Doug and Rob's extreme unprofessionalness during said anniversary specials. Obscurus Lupa being fired because she couldn't accept a Skype call, and Mike Machad had to wait a whole 15 minutes! That's right, because she was away from her computer, it took her 15 minutes to get fired, because she couldn't accept a call in a 15-minute period of time. There was also Holly, their HR person, getting fired right after she had surgery and then being blackmailed with her severance pay into getting blacklisted from the industry. And there's just more and more and more. This goes on for a long time. I'm not even touching on some of the stuff like the Mike Ellis sexual cupcake comment or that whole Patreon debacle. I can't go through all this here. Don't worry, there's the document for that. Look it up. It's very worth it. Now, admittedly, it's best to remain impartial during this because while this does have a lot of substantial evidence, this is just claims overall. And I would really like to imagine that this didn't happen, but with the amount of evidence that's coming in here, and the testimonies painting such a bleak picture, I really don't think that I could stay in denial anymore, and sure enough, I couldn't. And then that's when I joined #ChangeTheChannel. And it especially didn't help when I saw Channel Awesome's response to the whole thing, saying, "Oh, we're sorry you felt that way," being, "Oh, we're sorry that you felt mistreated. Oh, you're sorry that you felt that we're unfair, but we're just trying to do what's right here, so here's the moving on." And yeah, "we're sorry you feel that way" has now become a minor meme as one of the worst PR moves you could have done. Channel Awesome has lost a huge amount of subscribers in the past couple of weeks, and it's only getting worse. But then there's the new one that they have. This one made me break my silence because I wanted to just stay out of all the drama because I do not like YouTube drama, especially when it involves the channel that I used to like. But now I can't stay out of it. What they just posted to their website is unexcusable and unacceptable. First of all, it starts by flat out calling all the people in the document liars who are just there to spread harassment for no reason. That's a good way to get people on your side when they already hate you. That's like if in Star Wars, the Empire was losing ground to the rebels, so the Emperor tried to get people to rally to his side saying, "Oh, the rebels are just liars. We hate them and they're not trustworthy, so you should hate them too." But don't worry, they provide evidence. Not good evidence, but they still provide evidence. First of all, the big red flag here is they're calling them liars when previously they'd inadvertently owned up to the mistakes. In their last PR debacle, they said, "We're sorry you felt that way," and this and this and this, talking about not all of them, but with a broad brush, covering all the complaints that they were made. They didn't say anywhere about them being false allegations. And the language that they had definitely made it feel like, "Oh yeah, we're sorry about that." If they were really wrong, why didn't you say so in the first place? At least with a lot of the people in the Me Too movement, they're saying that that never happened. You guys just said, "Oh, yeah, we're sorry," but only now, when it's blowing up in your face, are you saying, "They're lying, they can't be trusted"? Then they say, "Oh, we can't talk about all of the debacle, so we're only going to go to the most important ones." Great, most important ones, okay, because there were a lot of petty ones in there. So what do you talk about? Nostalgia Critic is technically owned by... Wait. You're talking about who owns the Nostalgia Critic? Because, as we all know, Mike Machad is the owner of the Nostalgia Critic IP. Doug and Rob have a small piece in it, but it's mostly Mike Machad. Let's not kid ourselves here. How is that one of the most important issues? Well, if that counts as important, then I guess you're covering most of the other issues. No, you're only covering like 10 others? Okay. What else do we have here? The Jane Doe incident, being that there was a young girl who was being sexually abused by one of the content creators. They say, "Oh, her dates don't add up, therefore it's wrong." Can I get a little more evidence on that, Channel Awesome? Just because it's not the same allotted time doesn't mean it's not true. Also, they inadvertently reveal who the person was by saying the exact dates of when they were fired. So that means that all the anonymity that Jane Doe had fought for in the previous document is all gone now. Then, of course, they're fighting against Lindsay Ellis' arguments, because Lindsay Ellis definitely had the weakest arguments in the document, and probably the only ones I don't really agree with. They talk about how she actually was comfortable during that whole rape scene in To Boldly Flee, which I actually kind of believe them on that. However, they make one little mistake. They leave out the fact that Linkara was also uncomfortable with it. Linkara was also putting up a huge fight against it. They don't mention that. They just say, "Oh, Lindsay Ellis was okay with it, therefore it's alright." And yeah, knowing how Lindsay Ellis is these days and how unstable she is, I can definitely believe that she doesn't really know what's going on. But Linkara, albeit he has a shady past, is definitely a lot more stable mentally than Lindsay Ellis. So why not talk about him? If you could refute his point, hers just automatically goes out the window, it seems. At least by fan consensus. Speaking of Lindsay Ellis, The one thing I do agree that she talked about is that women were treated a lot worse than men at Channel Awesome. This little PR stunt here tries to say, oh, well, Tamra and all the other girl contributors in the Chicago division are well treated, therefore it's okay. Now there's two problems with this. One, people like Tamra or Rachel are getting paid. So that means that they have to be treated well under federal law. Otherwise, they could have a big lawsuit on their hands. And then the other and more insulting part, how does that work? How can you use someone else's completely unrelated experience to justify or prove or disprove or do anything to talk about another person's completely unrelated experience there? I can guarantee you the kinds of things that Lindsay Ellis and Obscurus Lupa went through are definitely different than something like Tamra or Rachel go through. For one, they're paid. For two, they're under contract. That kind of stuff. And also, this stuff was in the past. So what, things are better now? That's nice that things are definitely taking a step in the right direction, but that doesn't justify what happened in the past. Unless you acknowledge and atone for it, it's not gonna change anything. They also talk about the lack of communication, how Mike Machad would take forever to get back to everybody on Skype, that Skype was their only way of communicating with people, how Doug and Rob were pretty unresponsive a lot of the time, and they basically just say, yeah, we messed up, we're sorry. To be fair, this is the only time they actually atone for one of their mistakes, but it's not good enough. It's just, oh yeah, sorry about that. But look at all these liars, ooh. They barely pay attention to that. Then, of course, there's Holly's thing, saying, oh, we didn't force her to work and to boldly flee. We didn't do all those things, no. Even though we've seen a lot of evidence to contradict that little claim there. The only thing that they actually did do was let her visit the ER during the process of making these things. And yeah, they don't even touch on the fact that they fired her as soon as she got out of the hospital. They don't touch on that. If you notice, a lot of the bigger details, they don't touch on. Such as the whole Patreon debacle. That's not mentioned once, being that Obscurus Lupa and Phalis really wanted to make Patreons because the ad revenue was definitely really short. And then Mike Machad and Rob Walker said that they wasn't allowed because it was e-begging and it was a slap in the face of the fans. Meanwhile, they promote their own Indiegogo thing. Why isn't that in there? Oh, and why isn't Indiegogo in there too? How they originally asked for $50,000, but they got $90,000 to make things like Pop Quiz Hotshot and a bunch of other shows that never came out. And then Pop Quiz Hotshot was just a steaming pile of garbage and they only added to release it because Indiegogo was gonna investigate them. What about all those allegations that you took all that Indiegogo money and used it for living expenses? Holly said that Channel Awesome was struggling financially at the time. Aren't you going to talk about that? Isn't that kind of a big deal? Isn't that more important than who owns the Nostalgia Critic or the rape scene? I think embezzlement is a lot worse. And of course, Obscurus Lupa, that's not mentioned either. Yeah, so what, we fired a person because they couldn't answer a call in 15 minutes. That's not an important thing. The real important thing is talking about how Mike Ellis resigned. Not at all talking about the fact that Mike Ellis did something horribly wrong. So the guy who Mike Ellis sexually harassed was over a Skype chat. They would often talk together and just kind of bullcrap about a lot of stuff and just have fun like guys like to do. All of a sudden, Mike starts sending him weird texts. And he says he was drunk at the time, but the spelling was perfectly coherent. And he'd say all the things that he wanted to do to him and all the things he wanted him to do to him. And calling him a sexual cupcake. And then when this guy responded to Mike Machad saying, hey, this guy's doing all these creepy, horrible things, I need some help. The only thing Mike Machad says is, oh man, I told this guy he couldn't do this again, I'll take care of it. And then it's never mentioned again. In this response, the only thing they say is, oh, Mike Ellis resigned, but that could mean anything. Was it a Richard Nixon, oh no, I'm caught, I'm gonna resign thing? Was he forced to resign? Did he do it just because he didn't want to work there and his deeds went unpunished? You're not actually talking about the real issues here. And why isn't the Dr. Gonzo thing in here? That's the one that gets everybody the angriest. Because a lot of us didn't know about Dr. Gonzo at all, and then are only finding out about this now. And that's how we get exposure to him. Others liked Dr. Gonzo and didn't know all these horrible things were happening to him. This is some of the worst treatment anyone's gotten on that guy with the glasses / Channel Awesome, and you're just not even talking about it? I think it's because somebody's guilty and they don't want to own up to it. There's also the claims that they were unprofessional during their anniversary specials, to which their response is, well, you guys didn't have to be in them. Well, no, but it's expected that it would have had at least some level of professionalism. At least something. Yeah, it's a bunch of people running out into the desert to just make a bunch of random stuff. But if you're gonna act like this is the big feat of cinema, you're gonna have to at least try to do something to make people happy and some sort of professionalism, or at least listen to what people say. You know, providing food and water and not locking people in an attic. These are the kinds of things that Tommy Wiseau would do. You know, the guy you made fun of for doing all these things, not just in your review, but in the review of the disaster artist that you made a couple months ago. Kinda hypocritical, Mr. Walker. Of course, there's also how they say, oh, you guys liked being in the anniversary specials. You guys liked doing that because this person said that they had fun. Now, this one I can personally refute. I obviously was never in the anniversary specials. Personally, even when I was a fan of Channel Awesome, I never cared for them. Just thought they were too hokey and lame. But I myself have been in a bunch of horrible film and stage productions that I've had fun with. They were still absolutely unpleasant experiences, but I still had some parts of fun, because my friends and I would try to make the best of a bad situation. That's still having fun while also having a miserable experience. That, and also it's likely that some sort of Channel Awesome influence got to her. Her being the person that made that original video that they were citing. All the arguments in here, save for one or two, are just a bunch of out of context or irrelevant facts streamed together. So, what does this mean for Channel Awesome? This could be it. I don't know. This might make them lose that 1 million subscriber reward they got. They've been losing so many lately, and the decline has been slowing down until they released this statement. Now, it's starting up all over again. They're losing so many. And they keep losing people. Every time one of these statements come out, they lose 2 of their 3 biggest. Like, they just lost the Horror Guru and Angry Joe. If it's not for the Nostalgia Critic and the Cinema Snob still on there, that channel's basically dead. And we all know Nostalgia Critic can't leave, so come on, Cinema Snob, you're next. Next PR stunt, you have to go. That's the name of the game, and that's how the rules are gonna be. In all seriousness, though, they are in total damage control. They have no idea what they're doing. They need to accept the blame. Even if some of this stuff is not true, they need to acknowledge the stuff that they did do. The stuff that they refuse to talk about, like the Indiegogo thing, or Obscurus Lupa's firing, or the Patreon stuff. They need to own up to the stuff that they for sure have done. And no, Malcolm, we didn't skip over anything in the document. We didn't just assume it was going to be bad. We did read it. Malcolm, I love you, man, but come on. You're better than that. You have talent. Just leave. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Malcolm's defense for this whole thing is you guys just aren't reading it all. Like I said, Malcolm, you're a great guy, but oh man. What makes this debacle even worse is that even though everything is stacked against Channel Awesome, everything, they still act like they're winning. Every time they release one of these PR stunts, they act like they're winning. And they're not. Every time they do something like this, they just end up losing. And it breaks my heart that one of my favorite content creators is now someone that I have to hate. I can't support what they've done. I can't support what they're doing. I can't do anything with this. And I especially don't want to support how they're handling this whole situation. This is the worst definitive way you could have done it. Just brushing it off at first, then waiting till it's too late, and then start outing everyone as liars with bad evidence. If they do make an official Channel Awesome apology, it's going to be too late. Too late. You've already lost so many people and have ticked so many people off beyond belief. A lot of your former fans are done with you. No matter how sincere your apology is, if you ever make one, most of these people who've left will not come back. Not just because of your insincere behavior, not just because of all of your old stuff is now tainted with the image of everything that has happened, but what's going to stop all this from happening again? Yes, Tamara and Rachel and all the other female content creators have been treated a little better. Yes, communication is a bit better, but your channel is dying. You've lost so many people, you've lost so many subscribers. What's the point of partnering up with you guys now? And even just for the casual viewer, your smugness radiates through all this. And we know you, Doug and Rob, you're never going to let us forget this. You're just going to keep on talking about it. You aren't going to win this one, and I think you guys even know. But Mike Machad, I think he's definitely having a lot to do with these PR stunts. I mean, this definitely does have some traces of Doug and Rob in here, but I definitely put my money on Machad. Because he's technically speaking the CEO and sole owner of Channel Awesome, they can't exactly just leave, can they? Well, they can, but their reputation's already so hurt. If they just made a sincere apology after that last thing, they might have been able to save face. But it's too late now. Even if they come out with one right now, as I'm talking, it's gonna be too late. No chance. This is unfixable. They've already dug themselves in a hole, and they just keep digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. And I don't think they want to dig themselves out. I think they're fine being this low. If I'm being completely honest, because it seems like they're doing nothing but making the problem worse. And they're doing it in ways that nobody could think that this would be better. How could anybody think that this could fix anything? When you fight back against false allegations, if they are actually false, which half of them are proven are not, you need to do it right away, or your counter-argument is completely invalid. You waited 3 weeks to say that they're false, while after making another open statement saying that, yeah, that happened, but we're sorry. You can't just backtrack like that. Even though you deleted your previous statement, others have copied it. It's the internet. Nothing ever goes away on the internet, especially for people as big as you guys were, and kind of are somehow. Also, I think they are kind of starting to realize that everything is starting to go into a tailspin. Their store is temporarily closed, and I don't know if that has any connection, but I do know that what probably does have a connection is there was a new nostalgia critic, Jack and Jill. No, I didn't watch it. I'm not watching this stuff anymore. And it was posted only to channelawesome.com, not the YouTube channel. Because all of the recent videos they've done have been bombarded with comments of hashtag change the channel and how could you do this? I used to be a fan. I used to trust you. Why? They very clearly have no idea what to do. But that's okay. I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Even if this stuff is proven to be false, there's still the parts that are already actually true. The parts that we already know are true, like the Lupa thing, Patreon, all those things. I keep telling you about all those ones. I don't want to be too redundant. Channel Awesome, you were awesome at one point, so I thought. Turns out you never actually were awesome. You were always just some kind of horrible, greedy, disgusting thing behind the scenes. And for those who say that Doug is completely absolved of all sort of crime, don't think so. He was the deciding vote to get Holly canned. He was the one who started the most unprofessionalism stuff. And Rob isn't scot-free either. There have been numerous fan accounts saying that Rob is just a smug jerk. Like that one guy who had a copy of Suburban Nights who went up to Doug and Rob to get it signed. Doug was very happy to get it signed, but Rob just said, no, get lost. Such nice people. I want to follow these guys. That's enough for today. Hashtag change the channel. Hashtag I'm never watching that again. So what do you guys think of the Channel Awesome debacle? Do you want to change the channel too, or do you need to read that document some more? What do you guys think of their PR stunts? Is there any feasible way that they can fix this damage? The damage that's been going on basically from the beginning. Comment below, let me know. This is going to get rough, folks. Let's strap in and see how long it takes for them to lose that 1 million mark. Okay, let's go.